I don't think they're evil. I can see why you might think that. There's a lot of evidence. But I don't think that they are, and you're going to need to hang in with me for a minute for me to explain why I believe that. So I got a degree in Spanish. I speak habla español. And while I was studying languages and the idea of languages, I learned that actually the language you speak begins to form your brain. Like, you actually think differently based on what languages you speak. And it's known that bilingual or multilingual people actually have this like extra capacity to think or imagine things than single lingual people. All right, hold that idea in your mind for a second and come with me on this journey. Years ago, I had heard a TED Talk that there are certain tribes that use very, very specific language to describe what direction they're going to go in. So rather than saying, hey, I'm going down the street to run an errand, they say, I'm going to go 400 feet south by southwest. They're very specific with their language. And as a result, when you scan their brains, every person in this tribe, the part of brain that like maps geography, that part of their brain is much larger because through their language, they are enhancing their own capacity to imagine geography in their minds. There are also certain languages for which there's not a word for blue, but you have like 60 words for shades of green. And those people have this heightened capacity to perceive the color green. And of course, a very limited capacity to perceive the color blue. You might be asking, what does this have to do with whether or not men are evil? And it has everything to do with it, because what I'm trying to say is the stories we have told ourselves about gender and the language we use to talk about men, their behavior, their capacities, has limited us from seeing their full potential. And I don't believe it's always been this way. Colonialist, imperialist time we're currently living in gets some of the worst results for behavior in men. For instance, some of the meta-narratives we talk about with men is, oh, boys will be boys. We can't hold them accountable, nor can we really change them. Men are going to be violent. Oh, men are going to be stupid. Like, men can't help it. Instead of using language and ideas that, no, men are fully human, fully capable of controlling their minds and their bodies and their actions. Those meta-narratives about men not being capable leads us to not holding men fully accountable for their actions. Very often, we do not have a society that holds men fully accountable, particularly white men, fully accountable for their actions. This is going to sound crazy, but just like I was talking about the people who can't see the color blue because they don't have a word for it, or the different types of people that have the very detailed language about direction, so they've actually grown their own capacity to think about direction and geography because they're using language. The language we are using about men and gender limits their ability to live into their full humanity. And I really believe that. Conversely, I think places where expansive ideas about human nature and inclusive ideas about the capacities of men are included, and where, as a result, we also hold men fully accountable for their actions and make them repair social fabric when they've ripped it, men do just fine. Men are not out of control. It is the fact that we have limited this with the storytelling framework we use has, in fact, limited full human capacity.